Hello, hello. But look at this. I have cucumbers. Is that cool? Look at that. I am going to pick those soon, and I haven't decided if I'm going to slice them up, make pickles out of them, or if I'm going to make a cucumber salad, which is really simple. You just slice it up, a little bit of vinegar, a little tiny bit of sugar, and maybe a little pepper and salt, dash of pepper and salt. Mix it up, and it's so good. Gary loves it. Not sure yet, but just wanted to take you with me. Oh gosh, it's so dry and hot. Okay, I'm going over the ponds right now. I will not dare water my garden at all. It's a little dry. Got to remove some leaves off of the tomatoes, but all in all, everything is doing really good. Got the hose draining. As I always talk about, it was hot, so it's just draining in the wood chips, but it's cool. Let's see. I've tested it now, and it is cool. And what I'm doing is just freshening up the ponds, or I should say the bird baths for the birds, so they have cool water, and for the bees as well. The bees have been drinking. They're not using this one. I can flush it later, but right now I'm just kind of cooling it down a little bit. If you want to water your plants, only at the base. Do not get the leaves. This was a flower that came up. Do not get the leaves wet. You can get your wood chips wet, but that's it. And the same thing over here. I have no idea what the camera's doing, so bear with me. I've got to be careful. There were some bees here. This is just to freshen up the pond. I can't hit any of these leaves with water because over 100 degrees right now, it would wet them and then it would just cook them. And they will not be able to come back. I don't worry too much about the mint. Same thing here. All I do, this is all mint, so if it gets wet, it gets wet. You know, it doesn't seem to hurt the mint though. Just freshening up and cooling down the water for the birds. See, the solar pumps are working. Isn't that cool? But yes, it's going to be hot all week. And this one, I think the solar got into the shade. But that's all right. Let's do this carefully because we've got a lot of bees here. But this will give them a little bit cool water. And that's what I do during the day. If I wanted to water any of my plants, it would be at the base only. Get the leaves wet, and any leaves that get wet, like I said, that would be just like cooking them. They would just fry. I don't really need to water anything. I watered really, really well last night. So I didn't come through this morning and water. But let's drop the hose down now. But all in all, everything looks good. See how droopy this is? By nature, it's just going to droop. And it will be fine. Later on, I'll come out and the leaves will pop back up. If I would wet this leaf, it would literally cook. And then you would come back and it would be crispy in your hands. So you've got to try when you're, this hot, is not to get the leaves wet. You don't want to kill the leaves on the plant. I mean, if you do, just remove them. Hopefully the plant itself will come back. But all in all, with all the hot weather we've been getting, we're doing okay. Now, everybody's environment, everybody's yard's going to be different. Here, we don't have cement. We have wood chips. It's hard clay, and Gary put a layer of wood chips down here. This will automatically help keep the area just slightly cooler. Had this been cement, okay, then you got a problem because the cement itself would retain heat. It would be releasing the heat into the air, and then your garden would be probably 5 degrees, if not more than that, hotter. So the wood chips help. Where you decide to garden, if you're in a hot area, helps. And that's something you got to think about. If you're in a cool area, then you can put all the containers you want on pavement and it would help keep it warm, especially in the winter. But boy, come summer, if this was pavement, it would not work. See, it's drooping, but it will all come back later. So that's what helps keep the plants going, is I'm on soil. Even though I've got some in the ground, I've got a lot of things in the ground as well as in containers, I can keep them going. I I think the ones in the containers are actually doing far better because they retain more moisture in there. The ground, it will just pull away from the plants too much. But they're all doing really, really good. Here, the lemon verbena is doing good. Even the curly kale, see, that's in that trash can. Somebody asked about trash cans the other day. See, that's a trash can. Gary had an old can, plastic, and he cut it in half. So that's half. But you could use a whole trash can. That's a container there. So it is the environment on how you have your plants set up, because I know so many people are losing their gardens. You're going to lose a few things. There's nothing you can do. This wall, surprisingly, is doing really well. Why? I don't know. It's just thriving like mad in these little containers. Look how beautiful they are. I mean, I do water them every night, but they're doing really, really good. And then these containers are doing really good too. That's celery that's gone to seed, and then of course my lemon verbena, and then there's other things in there. This is not a garden tour, so I don't have to go through everything. Just kind of giving you ideas for the heat. If you have to, you could always get shade cloth and just drape it over the plants in the morning. I mean, that would work. I've got shade cloth down there, but that's to cover that one water fountain, so at least some of the birds can have a little bit cooler water. All in all, we're gonna survive this heat wave, I hope. We'll have to see. Let's see, what's brown down there is a geranium flowering, and the flowers are done, so they're all brown. That is one messy plant. I put one tiny piece of geranium in there, and the thing is like a weed. I literally have to throw that in the trash or make sure before I compost it it's dry, because here in Southern California, boy, do they want to grow. So that's the geranium plant that I really don't want there. My kale is doing really good. My dinosaur kale, that is in the ground. That big jungle of dinosaur kale is in the ground. The birds have been eating the tops out of them like mad. So I am gonna have a mess when the leaves continue to grow out, and I think they're trying to eat things that are damp. So yes, they're drinking water, the wild birds, but they're eating the new shoots. I should say the new leaves coming through, so when the leaves come out, they look really bad. Look how bad they look when they come out. This one they didn't touch, but look at this. When they eat it, it comes out really bad. But you know, just remove it and it'll grow new growth. As soon as the birds are not on the warpath of the heat, trying to eat anything that's green, that one might have a little moisture in them. Plus the babies, there's a lot of baby goldfinches, and they do eat a lot of greens. So that's it. I just did a walkthrough. I better get my hose shut off. It's just running down there, which is fine. And we are dealing with heat waves right now. Let's see, today is Tuesday. They say it's going to be hot well into Friday. The heat waves don't bother me for the garden as much as fire season. We're not that dry yet. So that is the only good thing. We're still dry, but we could get drier. And if we get dry and wind, then we have a problem. The zucchini back there is a little bit droopy, but again, that will all come up. Eggplant doesn't seem to be bothered by the heat at all. Sorrel's okay. See, I might have gotten some of the leaves wet. When I watered last night, must have had some water still on it, so lost a few of those leaves. No big deal. It's a big plant. You'll lose some leaves, you just clean it off. But so far so good, so we'll just keep going and see what happens. I'll do an update soon on the heat and more of what's going. I mean, we're still growing a lot of stuff. I've got tons of eggplant, tons of different squash coming up, mainly zucchini and zucchini hybrids coming up. All kinds of greens. Greens is something I really, really like growing because greens are so expensive in the stores. You go buy a little bunch of organic greens and you're looking at anywhere from $2 to $4 for a tiny little bunch. So I grow a lot of greens. And celery we grow, and everything is still going. The tomatoes, of course, are still growing really good. Basil's still growing. I'm growing green beans. Green beans are growing. My collard looks really bad now, but later on it will pop right back up. That's in the ground. So we've got both. Like I said, we've got it in the ground, growing in the wood chips, and then I've got them growing in containers. And I think I'm going to go make some tea because Gary's waiting in the house for tea. So that's it. I told him I was going to go collect some mint to make some mint tea. Have a great day. Try to stay cool. At least our animals are cool. They have a room with an air conditioner. They go in that. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.